Okay, let's talk about one-step equations. And when we talk about one-step equations, we're going to start with the addition principle. In the addition principle, you're going to have your variable is going to be on one side, and you will have something either added or subtracted from that variable. What we need to remember is to undo adding or subtracting, do the opposite of what's being done to your variable. So keep in mind, when you're doing equations, you have to keep it balanced, which means what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So we're going to make a purposeful effort to make sure that we're doing the same thing to both sides of our equations. So let's look at our paper at this point and start working some. Okay, to start with, if we have b plus 12 equals 20, we want to keep the same habit throughout. So we want to distinguish between the left and right side. So we're going to find our equal sign and we're going to drop a line down. It's not part of your equation, it's just to help us visualize the left side and the right side of our equation. So we can see that what we do to one side of the equal sign, we do to the other side of the equal sign. So it just kind of keeps us anchored. Now find your variable and then determine in your mind what's being done to it. Well, let's see here, we have plus 12. So we have to do the opposite of plus 12. We have to come in and do minus 12 on both sides. Now I want to show the sign and I want to show the number, okay? Then the next thing I want to do is I want to show myself that these cancel out because they add to 0. That leaves me b on this side. I'm going to bring down my equals, even though it's on the line, bring down the equals. And then you're just going to do the math over here on the other side. 22 minus 12 is, let's see here, that would be 10. So that is my answer. As soon as I get my variable alone, I'm done. So let's try again. Same procedure. Find your equal sign, drop a line. Find your variable, what's being done to it. I have positive 4 is added to it. Now it's important for us to know that is a positive 4 because to move a positive 4 we need a negative 4 because we want them to add to 0. So I'm going to put minus 4 over here. These two items must be exactly the same. So I'm going to say positive 4 and negative 4, those go to 0. That leaves me a positive x equals, and negative 8 minus 4, the signs are the same, so I add, and I keep the sign that they share. If we have trouble with that, grab your calculator, and you're going to type negative 8 minus 4. So don't interject a different, another minus sign or anything, just negative 8 minus 4, and it'll give you the correct answer. Type it from top to bottom. All right, let's do a few more. We're going to drop our vertical line. Find your variable. Now it's on the right side, but that doesn't change what we do. We're going to ask ourselves what's being done and do the opposite. Well, we have it, it has minus 3. Well, the opposite of subtracting 3 is to add 3. And even though it's positive, I want to put the sign because that helps tell me what to do whenever I come over here to the other side. So these cancel. I bring down my x, my equal, and then I've got 15 plus 3. So I'm reminded I'm adding 3. So it's important to put that sign because it tells you what to do. All right, let's try another one. We're going to drop our line, find our variable. What's going on? We have a negative 8 added to it. Oh, tricky, tricky. So you have to do the opposite sign of the number. So since this is a negative 8, I need a positive 8. So I want these two to cancel out and leave me with D. Negative 24 plus 8, signs are different, so I subtract them, and I get 16. Take the sign of the big one is negative. Okay. All right, let's scoot down and do this one right here. If you happen to run across one that has two negatives together, I would encourage you to rewrite that first. That's just x plus 5 equals 19. Then we are right back where we were before. Find your variable. It has positive 5 added to it, so we want to subtract 5 from both sides. X equals 14. Okay. Now, you can also do one-step equations with multiplying and dividing. So let's start with the multiplying one. That, for some reason, that just comes a little easier. Okay, this means when they're all squished up, that means 3 times m. So the opposite of multiplying is division. Now, we want to divide by the exact same number. We don't change signs. The reason we change signs up here is because we needed to add to 0, and opposite signs are needed to add to 0. To divide to 1, because that's what we're needing to do here, we need 3 over 3 to reduce and give us a 1. We don't need opposite signs, we need the same sign. So if that's a positive 3, I put a positive 3 below, and I put a positive 3 below. 3 over 3 reduces to 1, which gives me m, and then I just do 9 divided by 3 is 3. So that's my solution. Okay, try it again. If we have negative 4x equals negative 20, I can put my line in, find my variable, it's being multiplied by negative 4. So the opposite is to divide by negative 4. And I like to come through here and I want to make sure that my negatives cancel and my 4's cancel. Cancel is not the right word, it should be reduce. They should reduce to 1 because this is 1x. We can say cancel when we're adding to 0, but when we're doing multiplying and dividing, technically we're reducing to 1 or simplifying. So on the other side, we're just going to divide. So negative divided by negative, those, you could say they cancel out or they reduce. But 20 divided by 4 is 5. Okay, now let's do the division problem. Division just seems to be a little bit more spooky because you see the fraction. So don't get stressed just because you see a fraction. We're going to approach it the exact same way. So the way you talk to yourself and walk your way through this problem is exactly the same. You find your variable and ask yourself what's being done. It is divided by 3. Well, the opposite of dividing by 3 is to multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply this side by 3, and I will multiply this side by 3. Now, the beautiful thing is any integer can be written as a fraction if you put it over 1. And if you do that, it kind of lets you see I have a 3 in the top, I have a 3 in the bottom. That's why they reduce to 1 again. So they cancel out or reduce and gives me the x. Over here, I just do the math. 7 times 3 is 21. So that's my answer. All right, make it a little bit more complicated. Drop your line. Let's get rid of the fraction part first, because this is 2/3 times x. So technically we have two things to get rid of. If fractions make you nervous, then definitely go for that part first. But anytime you want to get rid of a fraction, multiply through by your denominator. If there's more than one fraction, you're going to multiply through by your common denominator. But for right now, we've got 1, so we're just going to multiply through by 3. The 3's cancel out or reduce. Now, it's not just x. I do have the 2x up top. Excuse me. And so I have the 2x up top, and then I have 18 times 3. So let's just double check. I'm pretty sure that that's 54, but I want to double check. Yes, it is. So 54. Now I'm back where I was before when I did my multiplying problems. So 2 times x, I want to come through and divide 3 by 2. So these two reduce, and I got x equals, and that would be 27. So that's my answer. Two other cases that you might run into, or actually one other case, but two versions of it, is if you have negative x equals a number, or negative variable equals a number. You can easily think of this as doing negative 1x equals 8, and then yes, you can come through here and you can divide through by negative 1. The negatives would reduce. I have x, and 8 divided by negative 1 is a negative 8. And that is very true. That is technically what we're doing. In all honesty, that is not how I think through these problems. What might be more beneficial is it's a shortcut. I don't need negative x. I need positive x. So if I change the sign on the left side, remember what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. If I change this sign, excuse me, then I must change this sign. And as soon as I get the x positive, I'm done. So if it was this way, and I'm like, oh, I don't want negative x, I want positive x, I have to come in here and I have to change the other side as well. Well, it was negative, so now it's going to be positive. So whatever this sign is, I must change it. So no matter which way it started, you just must do the opposite. So maybe that'll help. Y'all practice and let me know if y'all need anything.